Apex Season 1 was a historic time in Overwatch's history. We were introduced to many darlings that still play the game today and many teams that made history. But one team represented these aspects in tandem. A little team called RunAway emerged white hot with a story to tell, but if we changed just a few moves, that raging flame could have easily been extinguished before the team got their legs under them. And that's our topic for this week's Alternate Overwatch History. RunAway was a passion project founded by popular South Korean streamers and couple Flowervane and Runner. The team debuted alongside OGN's Apex Overwatch League, and while their first season wasn't a success by definition, it was clear there was potential under the hood. However, the team would be sent home early with a 1-2 record with losses to Luxury Watch Blue and Kongdu Panthera, and would face down relegation. And that's where we come in. What would happen if one of the most beloved teams in Overwatch history were relegated in their very first season? First things first, we have to set the stage. RunAway is placed into Group A of Apex promotional tournament, Apex Super Week, alongside of Freaka Freaks Red, Luxury Watch Red, and MVP Space. Let's say, for the sake of the thought experiment, the team can't shake their reliance on Hoxell's Genji and struggle in their matches against Luxury Watch Red and a Freaka Freaks Red. With an 0-2 record, they'd be relegated from the league, with LW Red, a team that historically had a very hard time making it to Apex proper, even with the narrative that they were the better half of the Luxury Watch teams at the time, taking their seed. From here on out, I only really see two avenues for RunAway to explore. The easy answer is, without a ticket onto the main stage, Runner and Flowervane close shop. While not being featured on the main broadcast of OGN's Overwatch Apex League, I'd imagine that sponsors would struggle to find ways to see a return on their investment and would be forced to pull out. With no sponsorships and a family to plan for, we're never really gifted an opportunity to see the bridesmaids of Overwatch. We're never given a chance to see Runner break the booth in excitement after making Season 2 Grand Finals, and we might not ever get to see Hoxell at his peak. RunAway just quietly fade into obscurity. Just another failed organization in the graveyard of esports. Now, the far less depressing and much more interesting avenue to explore is the rebuilding phase that RunAway would have undergone if Runner did manage to keep the fires lit for one more approach going into Apex Challengers. So after scouring through the teams that were featured in Apex Challenger Season 3, this is what RunAway could have gone for into that season's Super Week promotional tournament. To start, let's review RunAway's roster at the time. A roster that, in this discussion, fails at Apex Season 2 Super Week. That squad features the likes of Kaiser, Bumper, Cox, Shine, Hoxell, and Coma. A few points to note here is that Runner is not featured, and neither is longtime hitscan ace Stitch, with the latter joining the team in Apex Season 2. Now let's go over which of these players I think they'd keep. Hoxell is a linchpin for this team, and I don't see a world where they get rid of him. Kaiser as well was a brilliant main tank at the time, so I think Runner would have found it hard to replace either of these two. Last but not least, we've got Bumper, and for this justification, I'm going to use a little hindsight to argue that his flexibility was too important to lose. He rotated back and forth during the Apex era across a number of different roles with varying degrees of success. This is years before we know him to be a huge, dominant force for the Vancouver Titans. But where do you weigh in on all this? Who might you have kept? Do you think anybody else was underperforming at the time? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section, but let's first fill out this roster. Stepping in and attempting to fill Stitch's shoes would be Rox Orca's DPS player, Damon, who in general feels like a proper fit. He's someone who accentuates Hoxell's aggressive style and still plays the same heroes to a decent level. RunAway might have also been able to snag budding flex support Kariv from Mighty AOD before being shipped to North America to play for Immortals and then the Los Angeles Valiant. A name that might surprise you is a player by the name of Micronix from Team Watchout. This is a main support who you might better know as Jexa. He was just getting his legs under him, and utilizing a little bit of hindsight, we know what a vocal leader he can be, so he might have been the perfect fit for a replacement for somebody like Runner. And due to the nature of the team and its assumed budget constraints, a 7th player doesn't seem like it would be in the cards. But I think scouting someone like Michelle from Mirage Gaming early on would pay dividends for RunAway in the future. This leaves us with Hoxell, Damon, Bumper, Michelle possibly, Kaiser, Kariv, and Jexa. Now that's only the direct changes for RunAway. What about everyone else that's indirectly affected? Stitch more than likely pops up on a farm team, perhaps one of the many Kongdu or MVP stables. With LW Red having more stage experience, we might have had a better indication of how good Flower, then known as Nanohana, was at the time. This could have led to a quicker consolidation of the two teams, which might have actually helped them with a potential title shot in Apex Season 2 or 3. And Immortals is irrevocably changed due to not having Kareev alongside Fate and Envy for the latter half of 2017 and for the inaugural season of the Overwatch League. One name that might have fetched a similar price at the time could have been Twilight. This fills in the blank nicely and still gives them a fantastic launch in Overwatch League Season 1. And there we have it, another week of alternate Overwatch history in the books, and one beloved team almost possibly ruined. RunAway was just a few changes away from never having the chance to tell their story, and I, for one, am glad they got that opportunity. Thanks for watching and for your continued support. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow my thoughts on Twitter, and I will see everyone in the next video.